everyone. Welcome to Augmate's Spotlight on Enterprise XR Devices and Use Cases show first episode. As many of you know, Augmate is a wearable first mobile friendly device management platform that got its start in managing AR or devices or smart glasses. However, it's expanding now into VR devices following the market. So it is my pleasure to welcome Leland Hedges from Pico on the inaugural episode. Hello, Leland.
Hi, welcome. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you for joining us. My first question is if you could introduce yourself and your role at the company.
Sure. So I am the commercial director of the European EMA, so inclusive also of Eastern Europe, Africa, Middle East. And my goal is to meet as many different people and partners and companies working within the world of enterprise VR as possible. And we at Pico are trying to enable these companies in healthcare, in location-based entertainment, in education and training to be able to grow their businesses much more quickly than they've been able to do in the past.
Wonderful, thank you. And since we are discussing Pico is one of the leading manufacturers, but probably a little lesser known in the Western Hemisphere. So could you give us a little introduction to the company, the history, where it's coming from, and what is the enterprise customers should know about them?
Sure. So Pico kind of is originally from China. That's our headquarters. That's our main market. In China, we are both a consumer brand and an enterprise company. Our business in China is kind of evenly mixed between the two. When we were looking at opportunities to expand outside of China, we did a very quick assessment of the market and realized that there was a lot of very big brands in the consumer space in Europe and US that, but none of them were doing as good a job as we thought they should or could for the enterprise customers. So we took all of the experience and knowledge that we had gained from more than 4 years of operation in China. And about a year and a half ago, we opened up some of the offices have been open longer, but for about 2 years, we've been operating in the US and Europe as a B2B business. Kind of two quick hits for Pico. One, as you said, we probably aren't as well known a brand as some of the other VR companies, but we're the #2 headset manufacturer in China. So in our home market, we are kind of a dominant force.
You mentioned that in the Western Hemisphere, you're enterprise first. So how does that reflect in your device lineup? Do you have an enterprise-oriented device? And then more importantly, or equally importantly, what is the service or sort of the package that you put around the device or devices that you intend for the enterprise?
Great. So we take the same devices that are offered in China and we bring them to Europe by making some modifications to the foam mask, to the system software. So these are basically the same devices in China and in the Western markets. They're the key device that we are most excited to talk about, and actually it just started shipping in the last week, is the G2 4K, which is a world first 4K device that you can operate at scale. And by scale, what I really want to talk about are the main business features that we offer that we think are unique. Or at least we hear from our own customers that these services are much easier to implement than with some other hardware. So we have kiosk mode. It's about 2 lines of code to adjust the bootloader so that you directly load the application when you power on the device. All of our headsets have buttons on the outside of the device, so you can operate them both with and without a controller very easily. The materials that we use on the foam mask are covered in PU material, which is fake leather, so much easier to clean, for instance. And then the other kind of key benefit or reason to work with Pico is that we, as an open platform, with a philosophy of being much more open, we have quickly found many partners like Augmate who offer a variety of business services like mobile device management, helping you create and host content, being able to play videos across multiple devices in sync, right? So many, as I alluded to earlier, a lot of the applications we work with are like VR cinema or amusement rides or classrooms or high turnover, large group kind of VR engagements where you need to be able to operate many devices either in the same room together or be able to operate many devices that are spread all over the planet remotely. So the combination of the kiosk mode, the hygiene improvements that we offer, not having to use a controller, being able to easily sideload content, and then on top of that, all of the partnerships that we've been able to create in the last 2 years. People are starting to hear a lot more about Pico because they're seeing it. They're seeing it. Their doctor is telling them that this is the device they should use to help them treat their vision condition, or they're getting it through their work training, or they're seeing it at a roller coaster. So anyway, yeah, those are the key features that we have built out over the last built out to support enterprise customers.
Very impressive, and congratulations to the first 4K in the enterprise space. We can't wait to see what our enterprise and our hopefully joint enterprise customers will react to it. Talking about enterprise customers, you dropped a couple of intriguing hints previously about operating these devices in sync in the same place, or entertainment references. Sounds like you have a couple of interesting use cases that could help enterprise users sort of drive their imagination and actual specific use cases. So tell me, give us a couple of those that you're most proud of.
Sure. I think the work that we do with one of our partners, In-Flight VR, is pretty spectacular. They've managed to navigate one of the most complicated regulatory environments you could imagine, which is the airplane. And we've worked with them at a really deep level of support and integration to be able to get VR devices safely into airplanes, airlines, onto buses, so that people can consume this amazing immersive content that they've licensed. Instead of watching, the 3-inch screen on the back of the seat, you're going to be able to be transported to these 360 videos, to these immersive gaming experiences. So they're a great partner, and what they've been able to do is fantastic. Another example from the world of location-based entertainment is some of the work that VR Coaster is doing. They just made an announcement that they were able to equip bumper cars with VR headsets. So you take this kind of experience that you've probably had in your life where you've done bumper cars, it's fun, but it is there's not a lot of reasons to come back to that experience. And now you can jump between these different scenarios. So it's the same bumper cars, but one day you're in a Wild West, the next day you're in a fantasy. So bringing VR into the world of location-based entertainment adds a lot of replay and repeat business to something that has really high capital infrastructure costs. Virtuoso is a great partner for corporate training. They make it amazingly seamless to be able to create presentations and then run the presentations across multiple headsets in parallel. And then we have, check our social media. We have hundreds of more examples of different companies and agencies who are using VR to solve real world problems. So anyway, those are just, off the top of my head, a couple of great examples of partners that we're working with.
This is a very impressive list, and also very impressive for our nascent new industry, in the enterprise. right out of the box, as you described, right, it's obvious that right out of the box, VR brings a tremendous business benefit for the business unit owners, business process owners. I mean, even on the back of, based on the back of an envelope calculation, as you pointed out, for your location-based entertainment, for example. So very easy to see the benefit right there. And with the technical flexibility, they are not only a friend to the business side of the enterprise, but also the IT side of the enterprise, which is something we also see in our practice, that a lot of the deployment think of the enterprise IT sort of compatibility with enterprise IT infrastructure a little too late. So these are the important ingredients of successful scaling. So we are now reaching the end of our time. Before we sign off, I just wanted to ask, do you have any advice for the VR curious enterprise? What are the couple of lookouts or points of suggestion as you're starting to consider deploying VR for their various different enterprise uses?
Yeah, I think I have two advice. One is actually for people who come from the world of gaming and interactive design. If you are an individual developer or a small indie team, and you've been struggling to release content for the consumer world, now is the best time to go out there and find a business partner or find a corporation that is looking for help with VR. As the consumer market grows kind of steadily, but in a very linear way, the enterprise world of VR is growing exponentially, at least from Pico's experience. Then if you want to look at it from a corporate perspective, I mean, you talked about ROI a little bit. I have some more very concrete examples. You can take a medical procedure that costs the government, let's say, because most of healthcare here in Europe is single payer, to use the US language. So you can take something that costs $10,000 to provide, and it's complicated, and it requires patients going to a doctor's office for weeks and weeks and weeks. You can put that same therapy into a VR headset and let the consumer or the patient bring it home and do their treatments at home. And you can offer that for 20 to 30% of the cost. So there's immediate cost savings for the government, for the doctor, right? And you can get even better outcomes because the headsets will report back regularly to the doctor's office. Here are the patients who are really following their procedures and don't need any intervention. And here are the patients that have missed some of their sessions. And those are the ones you want to follow up with. Those are the ones who aren't improving as quickly as you expect. So anyway, it's just VR is tapping into a lot of emerging trends and behaviors that I think people, I mean, we didn't even get into 5G. We could spend a whole hour talking about what's going to happen when you have 5G connectivity with these headsets and all of the new business models that will be created around that. But just with internet connected headsets, you're able to do a lot of tap into a lot of trends and technologies that people have been waiting a long time for, like telemedicine. So yeah, I think the corporate person looking at VR, you know, what you should be looking for is something that replaces existing behaviors and can do it for a tenth of the cost. And from our experience, there are many of those opportunities available today, right now, using VR. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for being the inaugural guest of Augmate's Spotlight on Enterprise XR devices and use cases. The contact information is available down here, and also comments. Leland, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.